So today I'm going to share the blueprint on how discipline drives wealth building and how personal habits and discipline can transform your professional results. And I don't care whether you're looking to close on your first deal, buy a business, scale a business, or just build wealth. I know that this can help you because I went from zero to hundreds of deals worth billions of dollars at this point. And what I've learned is this. Success doesn't start with your business, it starts with you, your habits, your focus, and your ability to execute consistently. Now, what I'm going to share today is not just theory, these are real actionable steps that work. So let's dive in. Starting with the fact that discipline is the foundation of success because it's all starts with how you begin your day even, right? And here's the first hack. Just cancel your morning alarm. I know that most people wake up, they hit the snooze button, and they just roll back into bed. And when you're doing that, it's basically like you telling yourself that the day isn't worth starting. So my suggestion is that instead, focus on just going to bed earlier. That's why I personally go to sleep at 9 or 10 p.m. And then I almost always naturally wake up at 5 a.m. feeling super rested and just ready to go because I don't want to stay in bed anymore. Just this simple habit alone, first of all, it ties directly to professional success. Just think about it. If you can start your day with intention, it's going to be very difficult to you to handle challenges of buying a business, scaling a business, or closing a big deal. So your mornings, they set the tone for everything else, which leads me to the next tip, which is upgrade your inputs in order to upgrade your results. So the next step is to invest in your mind, because most people waste hours watching TV or scrolling social media. But here's the truth. What you consume every day shapes your thinking. So instead of binge watching Netflix, pick up a book, listen to a podcast, or study the industries that you're working in or companies that you're thinking about buying. And the more you learn, the sharper you'll be. If you're thinking about buying a construction company, guess what? You probably want to learn about the space, read a book about the space, get a mentor that understands the space. It's critical for entrepreneurs and acquisitions advisors as well, because when you're evaluating a business or negotiating a deal, that knowledge that you've gained will give you a huge hedge in your negotiation and in understanding what's the upside in a deal and what's the risk in a deal. So obsess yourself in a space, in a sector, in a niche to really make the most out of it. The next tip is to eliminate distractions to stay focused. Your phone is one of the biggest obstacles to success, is my belief. If you have notifications in your phone every day, they pull you away from doing deep, focused work, and they just keep you in reaction mode all the time. So here's what I do. I turn off all notifications. You'll never see notifications on my phone. My phone most of the time is on do not disturb. And everyone, I don't care, everyone can wait until I've scheduled time to respond. And I listen to my calendar. If it's not on the calendar, I usually don't do it. And the same principle applies to business. If you're constantly distracted, you can't focus on what really matters and you can't make progress. I don't care if it's analyzing a deal, managing your team, building relationships. Discipline means protecting your attention to focus on the most important things. Guess what? If you want to buy a business, you probably want to talk to sellers. If you want to buy a business, you probably want to talk to potential financial partners or investors or analyze deals. Everything else is many times just distraction. And then people ask me, okay, what if I'm not distracted and it doesn't work? I try and it doesn't work. I go and look for deals and it just doesn't work. So let me address that at the same time because I hear it all the time. What if I commit for 6 months, 12 months, and I don't see results? And here's my answer. If you execute fully, daily, step by step, you avoid distractions, A to Z, and you follow the steps, and you still don't close a deal, let's say within 12 months of following the right process, especially if you work with me, I'll continue to work with you until you close your first deal. Because my interest is to find great entrepreneurs to potentially partner and invest with. That's my real goal in all this process. But also I'll also add this. Here's the catch: if you don't follow through, if you're not putting in the effort, then eventually I'll just stop the hands-on support. And that's how you need to view a mentorship relationship. If you don't do your end of the deal, you can't expect the mentor to do his part. It's a handshaking hand experience in the end of the day. And even if you don't close a deal, like after 12 months, you still have access to who you became, the resources, the network you've built. But in life, no one is coming to save you. The responsibility in life is on you. And it's all about doing things consistently, because if you wake up at 5 a.m. one day, it's not enough. If you wake up at 5 a.m. and don't take any action, let's say if you wake up at 5 a.m. and watch Netflix, guess what? It's not enough. You need to take the right action at the right time and do it consistently. And hopefully, when the right deal arrives, you have the right network around you to help you to know if a deal is a good deal and to have access to capital to close on the deal. So the bottom line is that as long as you don't give up, success is inevitable. You just need to stay in the game, and one day you could wake up with a multi-million-dollar deal closed. And remember, it's worth it, because most businesses never reach 1 million in revenues. Most businesses that start fail, and we skip that struggle phase. We skip that startup years with acquisitions. Moving me to my next tip, which is follow your to-do list and stack habits no matter how you feel. Discipline thrives on systems. So start by writing everything down: your tasks, your goals, your priorities. Because remember, your brain isn't meant to hold information, it's meant to solve problems. And once you have clarity on what you want, then you need to focus on building habits slowly, like the ones I mentioned, like doing deal flow, analyzing deals, making offers, raising capital, talking to investors. Don't try to change everything overnight. Start maybe with one habit, like, even if it's in a personal life, maybe exercise daily. And if you can, find a way to tie it to something you already do, like having your running shoes next to your coffee machine or something similar. And same applies for business, right? Because if you're, let's say, you want to improve on a company, don't try to fix everything at once, because you're going to get everyone overwhelmed. Focus on the biggest opportunity, solve that one first, and then stack another win on top. That's how momentum is built, by small wins. If you want to buy a business, start with small things like picking a sector or building a deal flow machine. Then stack on top of it other things, right? Like learning how to analyze deals, like learning how to raise capital, etc., etc. Which moves me to my next tip, which is, let's discuss in general on how to deal with "I don't have time," kind of like a situation. It's very common excuse that I get: "I don't have time to do this right now." And here's the truth: you didn't have time 5 years ago, you didn't have time yesterday, and you won't have time tomorrow unless you make the time for your priorities. So you need to ask yourself, what's your priority? Because I can show you people that I've talked to 3 years ago who are now where they've been 3 years ago, and they pretty much missed on multi-million-dollar opportunities every single year. And I also work with people, like I'm thinking about one guy who's now selling his portfolio of 13 companies. He also started 3 years, even though he didn't have time, but he had the priority to buy businesses. So he cleared his schedule, he executed better, and he eliminated distractions. And now he's about to cash out big, big amounts. So time will never line up perfectly. What you need is not more time. You need to manage your time better. You need to set priorities better and set your clarity better, because success is not going to wait for you until you have time. First, you need to make a decision. So ask yourself, at all, like, is owning one or few multi seven-figure businesses is even important to you? If the answer is no, then move on, go and enjoy your Netflix. But if buying a business or a few of them and the income coming from it will help you and the people you care about and love to help build a better life for you and them, then you got to find the time. You got to stop doom scrolling on socials all day or watching the latest Netflix show. No one's going to come to save you. It's got to come from you. You got to take responsibility for everything, for every thought, for every emotion, for every action, for every result. Only then you'll be able to get the courage to take another step towards those goals of yours. Moving me to my next tip, which is start with the big domino. Every day, if you're waking up, if you want to be focused, if you want to do deep work, start with tackling the hardest, most important tasks first. It's what we call the big domino or eating that frog, like the good old Brian Tracy book. Because when you push the most important, or when you push this domino, or when you eat that frog, everything else becomes easier in the day. So how it applies to business acquisitions, it means something like finding deals or reviewing financials or negotiating terms or raising capital, or an existing business in your portfolio, maybe solving key operational problem. Because by tackling that big thing early, you create momentum that carries you through the day. Which moves me to my next tip. To build a winning environment. Your environment shapes your behavior. Like, just think about it. If your house is full of junk food, you'll eat junk food, right? If your phone is loaded with distracting apps, you're going to waste time. So ask yourself, what can you do to clean up your environment? Remove anything that doesn't align with your goals. If it's in business, it means streamlining and creating processes. It means cutting out inefficiencies. It means focusing on what drives results from people who already do it every day, learning from those who already do it to help you save years of mistakes and time wasted. Which moves me to my next tip, which is find disciplined partners. The people you surround yourself with matter. You become, I don't care who you think you are and how much discipline you think you are, you're going to become like the people you spend the most time with, or the people you look up to, and the people you listen to. You are also going to be a combination of the books and people and videos that you watch. And in business, it means knowing and having the intention of choosing those partners and advisors and investors, and ideally have those people to push you to grow. Because if you're constantly surrounded by people who aren't aligned with your goals, guess what? It's probably time to create some space for those people that you do want to learn from and grow from. And it reminds me of when people ask me if they can do a deal in the US if I'm not a US citizen, for example. And the answer is yes, you can. And there are tons of ways to structure deals, whether through partnerships or creating the right entity structure or working with the right advisors. Geography is not a barrier to opportunities. But again, finding the right partners is what can allow you to learn about those structures, right? And create those professional relationships with you. Like at one point, I had businesses in like 6 countries at once. You cannot do it unless you learn all the different structures and have access to the right partners and advisors in every country. Which lead me to my next tip, which is visualize and have clarity on your goals. Review your goals every day. If your goal is to buy a business in a different country, you got to think about it every single day. Otherwise, you're going to forget about it, you're going to get distracted, and someone else's goals are going to become more important because you forget about yours. That's why I'm trying to look at my goals at least 1 or 2, or ideally multiple times a day, to make sure that my actions, if I'm taking any action, I want to make sure that this action is aligned with what I want to achieve. right? And what I really like to do is imagining myself in the end of the year and telling myself, like imagining myself talking to a friend and telling him about the best year that I just had. And I'm telling him, hey, look, I just had the best year of my life. Here's what I've done in that year. I love it so much. This is what gives me energy to wake up. And when I'm looking at my date, my calendar, I want to ask myself, is this helping me achieve that amazing year? And if one of your goals is to do acquisitions, guess what? It probably means keeping your end goal in mind, right? And knowing why are you doing what you're doing? Are you doing it to build cash flow, to build your net worth? Are you planning to have a massive exit at some point? Do you want to have a business in a certain location for lifestyle or for visa purposes? I don't care what your goal is, whatever it is, you want to find a way to stay focused on that vision and let it guide your decisions, even if it means having alarm clocks a few times a day with your goal. So here's a bit of a summary of what we've covered. We said that discipline drives wealth building and that personal habits shape professional success, and that consistency, focus, and execution are non-negotiable to get the results that you want. So I don't care whether you're buying a business, growing one, or building your career. These principles are the same. If you follow them, success is not going to be a matter of if, but when. So if this resonated with you, yeah, look for my other videos and let me know in the comments. See you in the next one.